Hello everyone and welcome to the Grove. My name is Hawk and today I'm doing a tutorial on a new mod that I began learning and have a lot of tons of fun with it, but I also realized that I couldn't really find any tutorials on it, so I don't know if I was just searching in the wrong place or what, but I figured, hey, this mod is cool, why not make a tutorial on it? So here's the tutorial. Today I'll be doing just the bare basics of how to get started, and depending on how long that takes will also depend on how much stuff I have in this video. I do have at least some stuff that I want to share with y'all um in what I want to give, so there may be more than one video in a series. But I will at least start with telling you that you do have a Tome of Tomfoolery when you spawn into a world, but there is also an online version, so you may find that useful. Also, you will notice that I have an empty amethyst knot. Knots in this mod are basically orbs that store mana. This one's empty. I will show you how to refill it later in a bit. But for now, you will need the evaluation mirror of evaluation. This is how you write most of your spells, how you can test spells to see if they're working, and is your main spell casting tool other than wands and scrolls. Wands are specifically made with one amethyst shard, 3 gold ingots on either side, on the right, left, and on the bottom, and then a glass pane as well. You will also, for this tutorial, you will also need in your inventory an amethyst shard and a piece of glass, because that will deal with later. And because I'll be showing you how to make this knot. And then you will also want a scroll and quill for one of the later sections. And a scroll is created by paper, feather, and an ink sac, specifically a glow ink sac. So, where do we want to start with this? Well, you can put away your Tome of Tomfoolery for right now, simply due to the fact that I will be showing in this tutorial, and we are actually going to start in the Mirror of Evaluation. Also put the amethyst shard and glass in this side of the toolbar. If you're in survival, it would be good to be there just in case you have other glass pieces in your inventory, just so this specific glass block is detected and not others, because when it is detecting materials, it goes from the first slot in your hotbar over to the right, and then it starts at the top of your inventory. So this is slot 10 over to 19, 20 over to 29, 30 over to 39, and then your offhand is 40. But we're not going to worry about that right now. I want you to open your evaluation wand. When you do open your evaluation mirror, you will see this circle. This will also appear inside of the scroll and is where you're writing all of your spells. When you're writing a spell, you'll be connecting all of these dots and into whatever shape is supposed to be in that part of the spell. These shapes are basically these sort of like the words in a Minecraft command. So, for example, if you have this small triangle shape, you'll notice it returns me, because that is the shape that says, hey, who or what is casting this? So either if it's one of the constructs that you can make, blocks that you can make up that also cast spells, then it will return that character, or it'll return yourself if you're trying to do that spell, which is very useful, especially if you want to make a wand where it's just like, hey, I want to summon, hey, I want to teleport somewhere. Well, you want to teleport yourself if you're waving the wand, so that's how you make sure to target yourself, for example. Also, you'll notice that I scrolled in and out. That's, you just use the scroll wheel. In order to move the wheel, say you have like an additional circle here, then you simply use either right click or left click outside of these little dots, and then you can move it around. So you can scroll in and out and move around with your right, left click, or both. In order to add another circle, so we're just going to clear this by tapping once. That resets the circle. Now, I will show you how to do circles in a moment, but for right now, let's do a simple spell to start to explain sort of how writing in this circle works. So, obviously, you have your amethyst shard and glass. If you don't already have it in your inventory, please get that now. We're going to open the mirror of evaluation, zoom in a little bit so it's easier to do, and you're going to draw this symbol. You want it into the top. And just a reminder, the reason I'm having you start with this spell is because it creates the amethyst knot, which gathers mana, and then you can use mana for those other spells. This is the only spell that I know of that does not cost mana. Anyway, you're going to make a start with a triangle. So you want to go from the top to bottom left to bottom right, back up to the top. And then you just go around the circle in order to make like sort of a circle within the RuneScape. And I have just learned that if you press W and S, forward and backward, that also changes. Wait, okay, so I don't know yet about the side to side. Maybe I have to complete it, but apparently you can zoom in and out by pressing W and S or whatever keys move you backwards and forwards. But anyway, this is called the Ploy of the Moon Watcher. It is what you use to create new mana storage orbs. And I'm going to click. And then you'll notice the amethyst and glass block changes, and now we have an amethyst knot, one that is full. Amethyst knots are the only ones that I can remember that actually appear with mana stored in them. It's like it managed to store the amount of mana from getting created in itself, because it can. Also, you'll see that the mana units are Gs. The mana units are Gs. Gs stands for Gandalf's, which is just unit of magic. So another way you can think of it is just energy. Yes. So we have a full one amethyst knot, and then we have an empty amethyst knot. But what if we wanted to charge this amethyst knot? Say we need more at the same time, which you will need more to make the correct, which you will need more. When you try to make the other orbs, such as the emerald orb, the emerald knot, the diamond knot, those sort of upgrades, you will need more than one amethyst knot in order to actually function. So I will show you how to do that. Specifically, I will show you how to gain more mana. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to open our scroll for right now. And in this scroll, you're going to create a new circle, a new subcircle. You're going to go up left, all the way down to right, the down right, so that you have this one line. And then you're going to down to the down center, down to like, if this was a compass, it would be south. And then you're going to click. Now you'll notice two things happened. One, we got the additional circle, which we can write in, but then you also got this line. It's a bit faint, but it is there. And one of the things that's important for this line is it helps you know where the circle starts. So say you have two, because you can add two circles, you'll see that the line shifted left. That is because now it's saying, hey, this is the start. And if you move, and the spell itself will activate from this line in a clockwise fashion. So when a spell that has two circles like this tries to go off, what tries to be cast, it will first look at the first circle and what its argument is. Well, first it starts in the center. It's like, hey, what type of spell are we trying to cast? Then it looks at the first spell circle from going clockwise from this line. Okay, I will look and see what arguments or additional spells are in this circle. And then it goes around to the circle down to this lower one. And okay, is there any additional information in here? If you need to remove a circle, like we will need to for this section, all you need to do is go up left, down to right, and then just clicking will remove that circle. It also has a function where it helps raise the subcircle to like the main circle, which I will show later. That is probably one of the, but it is very useful if you just want to trim all the circles for it. So and what I mean by that is, say you have a subcircle here that has two, keep in mind that if you do use this sort of revision to the spell, it will just replace it with this. So with the one that has 2, it just takes the first subcircle and just brings it forward. However, if you want to include all of the subcircles in this, then you will need an additional one where it's basically a circle with the line through it, and it will remove the whole subcircle along with any additional circles tied to it, which is very useful in clearing spells. For right now, we're going to go up here and add another spell. And this spell we're going to do where we're saying ourselves. Now, as you saw, this one didn't update. That's one of the things about the scroll is that it doesn't update, which means if you're trying to write down a spell but you don't want it firing off like the mirror, it continuously tries firing it, so it continuously updates whatever is being cast in it. Scrolls don't do that, which means if you have mana in your inventory, it won't be affected, which is why scrolls are important. Scrolls are also important because that means this thing that we're doing, it will always stay in the scroll, which means we can upload it to our mirror, and I will get with, which will happen in a moment, but that's why I'm having you write it in the scroll so that we can just take it back later, and it's just very handy to have. But for right now, so we're going to go into the circle. So you have the main circle, you have this smaller circle, but you want the middle circle. In this one, we're going to do this symbol. So it is the one on the left, all the way over through the center to the right. Then you're going to go up one, and then back to the center. So that's from the left, all over to the right, up one around, counterclockwise, and then back to the center. This part of the spell is basically saying, hey, go to the block that I am looking at and take that position. So this is sort of part of a ray casting thing where it's just like the block that is hit from where this entity that I specify is looking. Since we're the entity that it's specifying, it will take where we're looking and modify whatever block we're looking at. Next, in the big circle, we will want to use this, what's going to be called the Cultivator's Ploy. All you need to know is that it takes certain things. Like, also if you want to just leave this without casting a spell, you press escape. I'm so sorry it took me that long to mention that, but that's how you do it. And simple plant matter is like this grass or flowers or mushrooms or sugarcane. It's probably it doesn't do any blocks, but it does do simple things like this, or leaves, for example, count. So it will turn this into mana, which then can be stored. And the spell for this is a box. So you'll first need to make this box, and then I want to go down left, through the center all the way to the right, and then up around the circle back to the start. And then this is the final section. So you want to do a square, down to the left, through the middle all the way across, and then up around the circle to where it ends. Then, from there, you want to hit escape so you can exit it, and you want to you'll want to put it into your left hand. Now go to your mirror of evaluation. You can just click on the center or any of the dots to just clear whatever rune is in that circle. We're going to want to add another circle, so let's do that now. So you just choose the up left, down right through the center, and then down to the bottom center. Next, you have what you're going to do is you're going to go down all the way up, down to the left center, all the way around, not through the upper left as well. So you're going to go left one and then left again, down to the center, including that middle dot, and not just going from the top to the top down, because that is a different thing. But you just want to go down around through the center and then back up. And then you'll notice our spell that we had in our scroll from our offhand got put into this. This makes it very useful to when you're moving spells around. Say you want to move a scroll to a spell from a scroll to a wand or a wand to a scroll. This is how it does. This is how that works. So it's just like up to the center, down and around through, and back up again. Sort of like an upload symbol. And you'll notice this isn't evaluating. So this is not saying it's us. This is not indicating a position. And this is not casting. That's because it's an internal glyph that we just copied and it's not firing off. We can make it actually function though. So that's what we're going to do right now. So you're just going to want to hold your, you want to point your, you want to look, hold your mirror and then look at a plant. In this case, I'm going to use this piece of grass. And you're going to want to hold it in front of it. And I'm going to show you how to, say you want to test a spell out, but you don't want to like copy it anywhere. Well, here's one for that. So you want to go to the bottom or the top, doesn't really, yeah, you want to either go to the bottom or to the side is usually one of the better ways to do it. So either, I think it's either left or down, which is most useful, but I'm going to start us with just down. So you'll want to go from the south position all the way up to the north or the utmost. And then you'll want to swing around the circle to stop at the right. And then you'll want to cross over so it looks like this. So you have it from the bottom all the way up to the top and then around the circle all the way back through to the side. So you have this sort of like 3/3 shape. And then this returns 0, but you'll notice the plant is gone. But where did it go? Oh, it just turned into mana, which is not a lot, admittedly. It's just 2 mg, which is not a lot because it's just a piece of grass, but it is how you can gain more mana. And then if you get enough knots, you can store more mana, and then you can even charge them in places such as this. Now, so to create higher level knots, you would... I'm actually going to leave that for another video. So don't worry about that right now. And of course, you will need a lot of energy if you want to create new knots, but we're not going to worry about that. And that pun was unintentional, but I'm keeping it in because I think it's funny. And of course, you will need a lot of energy if you create more knots, but there is like a command knot that has a bunch of energy. So if you do want to just toy around in creative mode when you're crafting spells to like learn or plan out spells, you can do that. There is a knot that helps you do it. And if you're in creative mode, if I tried doing a spell right now, let's see. Say I did a spell that placed a water bucket where I was looking. Oh, occupied. I did the wrong spell. Hold on. One moment, please. So this part of okay. You'll see. Okay, so I did try to... So what I just did is I tried to summon a water thing at this block on the top of the face as if I was placing a water bottle. Not a water bottle. A water bucket. But you'll notice aquatic ploy. This was from earlier. You'll notice it says there are not enough. Hold on, let me use text size. So if I do this again, you'll notice it says not enough mana. That's because even though I'm in creative, I don't have any mana things in my inventory. So yes, even if you're in creative, you will need mana. So just be aware of that if you're planning things out. Because it will impact how you learn. And so that's how you get started for like a simple spell, how you gain mana. And then I will also, and this video is kind of long already, so I'm going to do some more videos on how to like do additional spells. I do have planned the actual spell casting in the book, the Tome of Tomfoolery. I do want to just show you how you do the first spell. So I can show you how to do this. Although you probably know enough to just do this on your own. And we actually quickly, you can probably do this. So I have mana. So let me show you on this block what this thing does. But first, I will need obsidian, and I will need bedrock, because I need to show you something in addition to it. So for the spell, we will need what block we're looking at again. So we will need what block I am looking at. And then we will need, I believe is it? Yeah. And then we will need a destruction ploy. So you'll want to go bottom left to the center, up to the top, and around down to the starting node. And then you want to go over one, skipping the one on the bottom, and then want to go up to the right, and then back up to the center top. And you'll notice it destroys this block. And it did use some mana. It used like 8 because it's dirt. But all spells scale, or at least most of them do, because of how much power it uses. So let me do this if I can. So I will add this again. And you'll notice that this next time when we're looting the obsidian, it didn't take 8. It took like 50. And so it does scale. And there are still some locks that you just can't break. For example, if I try to write the spell to break the bedrock, it won't allow it. And you'll see the message that I get for it. See, block cannot be broken by spells. So there are certain things that you can do and certain things that you can't. So there are limits for those who are map makers, and for those who are server owners. Do not worry, there is a limit to things. Not just through mana, the mana cost of things, but also through just how the spells work themselves. Anyway, I think that's all I'm going to show you in this video. I will do more in the future because I want to at least run through that first tutorial. And then I also want to have, in the Tome of Tomfoolery, I want to be able to walk you through how to get that working. And of course, if you did this on your own, it'll probably be a lot faster. But since I'm talking through every step that I'm doing, it is a bit longer. But if you go to your first spell, you can just run through this. And then you can probably also maybe even do easier casting, which includes wands, which I did go over a little bit, but of course, all of that is for a different video. For now, all I will say is thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day, night, whatever time is for you. Hope to see you next time, and goodbye!